little bit of Motown and a little bit of soul. If I'm doing a bit of 70s, it'll be Blame It on the Boogie. Christina Aguilera's Car Wash.
Oh, okay.
As
The
opposed
more
to Rolls
contemporary
Royce.
one rather than the Royce.
Yeah.
Welcome again to Mobile Music Thursday. I'm your host, Jason Jones, and I'm really excited about tonight's guest. Yes, I am, because tonight is a special treat. We get to actually go all the way across the pond, as they say, because that sounds better than going across the Atlantic, and talk to somebody from the United Kingdom, right around in the London area, and find out how they DJ weddings there. And, well, if you are there, well, then you'll know all about this and appreciate this particular gentleman. His name is Peter Locke. And he's not only a leader in DJ associations local there, he also owns a couple of companies, Rockbox Roadshow, I'm sorry about that, and also Peter Locke Specialist Wedding Entertainment. He's been at it for 29 years. He primarily does weddings, military events, and event production, the whole gamut, and it's really my pleasure to have you on the show to talk about how you play music over there in the United Kingdom. Peter, welcome.
Thank you, Jason. Good afternoon. Good evening, even. Yeah, slightly out there, but I'm actually in Wales, not in London.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm 125 miles from London, and I'm the Welsh branch chairman of the National Association of Disc Jockeys. You call it a chapter over there. As you say, I've been doing it for 29 years and loving every minute of it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And, you know, especially to talk to somebody who's like, after this many years, still keeping the flame alive of just, you know, loving to go out there and spin the music that people love. So let's talk about your game plan and how you do approach your music and playing to audiences there. It'll be fun to see what comparisons there are as far as differences, likenesses, and maybe it's all the same. But when you go into an event to play music for a night, before you take into all the considerations of the different the audience there and the age groups and the clients and their special requests, what is your general game plan if you're going into an event to spin?
Well, it does depend on the event itself. If it's a wedding, if it's a birthday, if it's a dinner dance, if it's a military event, everything is different. Every client is different. Every client is unique.
Sure.
No two clients are ever the same. Yes, I have had clients where I've worked for them more than once. Excuse me. But those events, generally, I've learned something from the previous one I've done for them, and the second one is different again.
Sure.
But my game plan, if I'm turning up to a wedding, I will have spoken to the bride and groom. I will have gone and met them once, normally 2 or 3 times, and by using DJEP, they'll have sent me more information through, so I'll have a playlist. I'll know what they do like. I don't know what they don't like, and I go through things with them. I know some of the family members as well, and so I go in not blind.
Yeah.
And so I'll know what their tastes are early in the evening. I'll know what type of music they would prefer. So many times I go in where a DJ's there and doing the music through the meal as a guest, and it's just putting on the mundane stuff. It's all classical through no consultation, and this is the biggest thing. A lot of DJs don't realize that the consultation actually makes it more personal and so much better.
Sure. So let's talk about like the cocktail or the dinner music time. Like, what is your conversation that you have around deciding what you're going to play during that time?
Well, in my consultations with the client, again, it's always for a wedding, or it may be for a dinner dance. I'll speak to the client several times, and I'll find out what they like. They'll almost always turn around and say they want something not so much slow, but something that's going to bring peace, hide the sound of the knives and forks clattering.
Sure.
A lot of the time, they want old school, so they want a bit of Motown. They want a bit of soul. At a wedding, they might want a lot of love songs. And then towards the end of the meal, as we're coming into the dessert and tea and the coffees, then I'll start to bring the tempo up a bit. Maybe if I've been playing a little bit of Motown and a little bit of soul, and I'll just bring it up, maybe a bit of background 70s, a little bit of dance into it. And then, of course, over here, we'll have a change round of the room. So everybody's out of the room, and they'll lay the dance floor, I'll set up the disco.
Oh, wow.
But I've already started to build on an atmosphere with the meal.
Sure. So let's. So how do you do that? I mean, in terms of giving them choices around kind of to tell you what kind of music they like. Do you go by genre? Do you say like, well, we could do a country mix, or we could do a country oldies mix? You know, like I've packaged up different playlists. We had a radio station here that did a lot of acoustic stuff, and they were really known for their acoustic singer-songwriter kind of ballad stuff, love song, and all that sort of thing. And so I called it a Cities 97 mix. It's like, you know, would you like the Cities 97? And that's been really popular with the 35 plus clients that I've had. And it's kind of like a mix that I have that's in a range of something they like. Do you package it that way, or do you get more? Do you actually work out a playlist with them? What does that look like?
Well, if they just specify the type of genre, then I'll do that.
So is it in a questionnaire, or do you have a conversation with them whether you go back and forth?
Well, when I sit down, I'll spend 2 to 4 hours sitting down at the initial meeting, and then I'll go back and I'll see them again when it's getting closer to the time, and we'll sit down and we'll go through the playlist for the day, and we'll go through the playlist for the evening, and how they want it to run, and the type of music that they're into, and that's how I'll build it. Now, if they say to me that they just give me a genre, then I may very well use, I don't know, Grandmaster Motown, which is by Master Mix. It's 78 minutes long. It means, and it's a lovely mix. Master Mix is a company in the UK that does DJ music, music for DJs, specifically for DJs. And, I may play that, or soul, or whatever. But it depends on the client. It always depends on the client and what the client wants.
Sure, certainly. So do you prefer if they actually choose the actual selections, or is it more like they are a guide for you, and then you go into different genres and different, where you do more selecting in and around interests?
They're a guide. They're a guide for me. I don't like it when a client wants to dictate the whole playlist for the whole night. Yes, I like to accept requests. No, I say to my clients around about 20 requests, which is an hour's worth of music. Is it really? That's what, 3 minutes a song, 20 songs, 60 minutes,
Right.
1 hour. And they think that 20 songs is only going to take 20 minutes to play.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, mix in and out of those.
So, had it in the past where I've had very long playlists, and I just turn around to them and say, I'm just not going to have time to play all these.
Yeah, can we narrow it down a little bit?
Yeah. And then what are your most important tracks that you want played?
Sure. So when you get into the dance part, do you like? I know that there are guys here that they'll start out with like maybe oldies and country and that sort of thing, and maybe some stuff from the 70s and some 80s too, because now that's starting to be considered oldies, believe it or not. And and then later in the night they make their way into more top 40 and that sort of thing as kind of a general guide, and then they make adjustments based upon their audience and how their audience is reacting and that sort of thing. Do you take that sort of tack at all?
I have, and to a certain extent I still do, depending on the function and the amount of consultation with the clients and how they want it to be. Taking the weddings aside, because obviously you've got the first dance and all the other bits and pieces before you're going into the proper dancing for the night. But so you take the weddings out of the equation. If I haven't got a lot of input, I'll look at the audience. I'll adjust my thinking on it to the age of the overall audience and the average age. And if I think that if I was doing an older birthday party, I'd start with the 60s into the 70s, the 80s, and then the 90s. Just a few tracks of each, just to get a feel of the room. And then later on, mix it up, mix it back, and do, obviously, hopefully the requests are coming in by then. With the weddings is slightly different, but just going back to, I did a dinner dance last year, and I didn't know the people that had booked me. I hadn't had chance to actually have much contact with them. They hadn't sent me a playlist, and it was for a university in Oxford.
Sure.
You obviously heard of Oxford, and they were a bunch of scientists.
So what do scientists like to dance to?
Well, I don't know. I got there, and this a little bit of a funny story. I got there and I set up, and I played a bit of soul and a bit of Motown while they were eating their meal, and a bit of a little bit of stuff, mellow stuff from 2010.
What is soul? What I want to know. I don't know if the soul is the same thing to me as it is to you. What like? Give me some artists that would fit in the soul category.
Otis Redding, James Brown, yeah. On the you got it. You hit the nail on the head there.
Sam Cooke, Smokey Robinson, Al
yes.
Green.
Yeah. I mean, Smokey Robinson is Motown.
Smokey Robinson would be Motown, and Sam Cooke would be soul.
Yeah. Shirley Bassey, Petula Clark. You know, things like that.
Oh, you go way back, actually.
Yeah, and I do. I will go way back. But going back to that one, you know, I was playing old school for the people that were there, and as I said, there were a bunch of scientists, and we had a guest. They had a guest speaker come on, and she started rabbiting on and talking about biology, and I turned around to my son, who's my roadie, and I said, "Do you know, Ben? I haven't got a clue what I'm going to play for this lot." And with that, the radio microphone that they were using, which I didn't supply, went down. The battery went flat. The venue hadn't checked and put new batteries in. So I rushed across the dance floor, what was going to be the dance floor, and I passed her the radio mic. I rushed back, set me levels, and she's talking again. So she's now running off of my system.
Radio mic. I think that's the way you say wireless. We say wireless mic here.
Yeah, radio mic, wireless mic. So anyway, I guess back over, and now I start listening to what she's saying, and it's like whoosh straight over my head. And I just turned around to Ben and I said, "She's blinded me with science."
Nice. Yes, that's a great way to open.
And I put it on, and I didn't know. You know, I just thought it was a good one for her to finish, and the dance floor just filled.
Yeah, everybody's like, "Yeah!" They're geeking out on their scientistness.
Yeah, and I couldn't tell you what I played next.
The Monster Mash. I was working in the lab late one night.
I should have done, and you know, but I can't remember what I played. But it didn't matter what I played. I just kept them on the dance floor.
Yeah, they just kept going. So
yeah. I wish I had the computer here, and I could tell you the complete playlist for the whole night.
Sure. Did you switch to contemporary music? Do you like to run in sets, or of sets of genre or sets of era, or do you just kind of go if the songs match, you go all over the place?
Both. It's hard. It depends on the crowd. It always depends on the crowd that you've got.
So how about an instance where you would do one, and an instance when you would do the other?
A lot of the time, most of the time, I'm actually playing to the crowd, and I'll do 3 or 4 from a genre, from an era, or whatever, and then I'll change it. So, for example, at a wedding, if I'm doing a bit of 70s, it'll be "Blame It on the Boogie."
Okay.
Well, actually, I'll use, although it's not 70s, and I've got to thank a friend for this, Nige Night, Christina Aguilera's "Car Wash."
Oh, okay. The more contemporary one rather than the Royce.
Yeah. And then into Blaming on the Boogie by the Jacksons, and then into Congratulations, and then I'll go into possibly, depending on the crowd, Funky Town Lip Sync, which actually beat matches quite nice with not Congratulations, Celebration, Cool in the Gang. So, and I'll do that for 70s, but not all the time. And it depends on the crowd. And if it's not working, I'm not frightened to cut it halfway through and bin it and go somewhere completely different.
No point to playing to an empty floor.
No. With the military events, obviously they're a little bit rocky.
Okay.
Because that's the kind of music that the British military like.
Okay.
I am very lucky in the fact that I'm playing right next to the Palace for the second time this year.
Cool.
In London, and I'm privileged that today I was told that I've got everything for the next 4 years.
Awesome. Does that make you like the DJ of the court?
No, it's not for the Queen. It's they are the Queen's guards, but they booked me because I do exactly what they want. They phone me up, they tell me, Pete, this is what we want.
Sure. And you take care of them.
I take care of it. I do everything, all of the planning of the event itself. Because the guy that asked me to do it 2 years ago was so impressed with what I did, just me.
Yeah.
He asked me to plan the whole event for this year, and they wanted an Oktoberfest in July. So they had the Umpire band, they had what we call an across the board band, covers band.
Sure.
And then me finishing into the early hours of the morning.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome, Peter. I can't believe how fast the time goes on these shows. I want to thank you so much for coming on the show, sharing some of your experience that you've had 29 years at this. You've seen a lot of different music coming. Well, some come, some go, and some were still spinning.
And a lot of people to thank for my journey. Too many to thank, because there've been some absolutely fantastic people that have helped me along the way, yourself included.
Cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for asking me.
I'm glad I could make a difference for you, and it's been really fun having you on the show and getting to know you. And I look forward to seeing you when we come over to London to do the Entertainment Experience Workshop. That's going to be a lot of fun to see your home turf. Be a first time for me and Bill.
All paid for.
Excellent. Excellent. Looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Peter. Have a great night. This is Jason Jones on Mobile Music Thursday saying tune in next week. We'll have somebody else to talk to and learn all the secrets that they have on how they make their mixes work. So until then, take care.